Hello and good evening. My name is Ananya and I warmly welcome you to the ISC Entertainment Network. Today we have a very special episode for all of our viewers. We are highlighting a very important organization that has been doing commendable work for our community. We present to you our partnership with TIES, the Immigrant Education Society. And today we're going to talk about mental health and their mindfulness programs that have truly helped a lot of people, especially in this year. And we want to bring to our viewers some information, some inputs, and some insights that we can all benefit from, especially in a year that has been anything but normal. So without further ado, let me please introduce you to our guests. And first of all, I would like to introduce you to Ms. Kulwinder Sarai, the Outreach Coordinator for TIES for Mental Health and Mindfulness Programs. Kulwinder, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
You're welcome.
So why don't we move on to your presentation and then I'll go about introducing our other guests for tonight.
Thank you, Nanya. And good to see you everyone here on this Boxing Day. You might have enjoyed your Christmas and here with us. Thank you, Divesh, for all your contribution to make this happen. And I can see Suman, Katie, Hannah, John, Anand, and one more person, Chandra. So all of us, please, I'll just give you a brief overview of the Healthy Mind project program and project that we have at TIES. This program actually started, this pandemic had put a lot on everyone, has caused massive layoffs, forced isolation, tremendous financial, physical stresses on the people. To address all these challenges, the Immigrant Education Society has launched several mental health service projects. And Healthy Mind is one of those projects. So this project, the mission of the project is to improve Albertans' mental health and resilience during COVID-19 and beyond through counseling, workshops, and improved access to community resources. And our vision is to a convenient, interactive, safe, and compassionate ground level platform which empowers Albertans with the tools and services to cope with difficult seasons of life. So for whom this program is for all Albertans. So we are serving born citizens like Canadians, migrants, immigrants, children, adults, and some temporary residents. So it's open to everyone. It's not only open to Calgarians. So this program actually takes care of everyone or every need. So we have 12 language infographics, videos, website. I'll show you overview of the website also, and quick guidance with question and answers. So we provide information we have coping tools, then care and self-care, home and family needs. Then we have counseling services, individual, couple, or group counseling. Then refer to further service or community programs. Then we have regular workshops, psycho-educational workshops, then mindfulness series, and mindfulness center we're going to have open it to maybe Suman can give you overview of that also. Then we'll have apps and assessment tools, and also we keep on having conferences on healthy minds or mental health issues. So then we provide services, 3 kinds of services. Service number 1 is for care and self-care, COVID-19 information. So what are the benefits available to the people during COVID-19? Where you can get food, where you can temporary or emergency shelter, and emergency childcare if you are working and you need a childcare. Then service number 2 is psychoeducational workshops. So we have designed 18 topics workshops, free tailored sessions, but we also customize if anyone needs any specific workshop. Service number 3 is counseling, individual counseling, couple, group counseling, free sessions, and no wait list. So everything is online virtually, so you can get counseling, very confidentially counseling from the comfort of your own home. So then we have also launched our Healthy Minds website. So I don't have time right now. I'll just let you know that you can go through this website. There are a lot of question answers. I think we have answered for all the questions that people might face during COVID-19. And now I would like to tell you, it's not part of exactly, but you can say as associated to COVID-19. So recently you might have heard about Calgary East Zone Newcomer Collaborative. So TIES, the Immigrant Education Society, is one of the major partners of this project also. So what this project, I'll just give you a brief outline of that. So we have, this is one kind of, it's called CENC, Calgary East Zone Newcomer Collaborative. So if you know someone tested positive, we please call this multilingual response center. So the phone number is 1-833-217-6641. I repeat, 1-833-217-6647. So this service is 24-hour and provided in different languages. So when you call this number, a cultural broker will get in touch with you over the phone to answer your question. Then immediately you provide a referral in your own language. And right now serving 20 languages and 17 partner agencies are collaborating. So all phone calls are completely confidential. So if you need food, if you need shelter, isolation, so if you're tested COVID, you will get all these benefits. And one more thing, that TIES is taking care of employment and mental health support. So whenever any notification comes to me, I immediately call that client and get to know the whereabouts, how the person is feeling, what is the immediate need of the person, and we try to support that person. And so just want to tell you about TIES. TIES has 3 locations, and we are serving all Albertans online right now. One location is Forest Lawn, other is Whitehorn, and the third new location is at Whitehorn Station, very close to Whitehorn Station. So I say thank you very much again. And if you need any help, just give me a call. My phone number is here, 587-392, and my website is, my email address is also here. You can reach out to Ina, you can reach out to Suman anytime you need any help. And I advise all of you, please go through our website and you will get to know in detail that what is happening, what is around happening, and how we can help you during COVID. And I wish you good luck for the next year, 2021. I hope this year will be different years. And thank you very much to Calgary East Indian organization, Devesh especially. And you know, and someone knows that we had made a collaboration with the CEIO, and maybe keep on in touch in future. And if you need any help, all the time welcome. So thank you very much. Sat Sri Akal, namaste. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kulvinder. Thank you for sharing all the details, and especially for our viewers, sharing a snapshot of the Healthy Minds program. As Kulvinder pointed out, this program is well highlighted on the TIES website. For if you do a quick search, you will see that TIES is a nonprofit organization that is especially helpful to newcomers regarding settlement programs, employment programs, language issues, which brings me to our next guest, Mr. Suman Kanal, who is the Director of Employment and Settlement Programs at TIES. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Suman. What can you share with our viewers that they can benefit from, especially in, taking advantage of some of the programs that TIES has to offer in this tough time?
Thank you very much, Ananya. It's a pleasure, having all of you here and, to discuss about the program and services TIES offers, especially in this pandemic situation. As Kulvinder mentioned in her presentation, TIES has a history of 32 years we're now going to the 32 years, providing integrated services to newcomers and in low-income earning population in Calgary. We have language program that's geared towards the permanent residents, citizens, even travelers or the visitors here. We have various types of employment program that's geared towards the multiple population, which I'm going to talk in detail. We do have research and development department, which looks up the best practices that's happening in the immigration industry, and then we try to apply the best practice that's proven. We do have settlement services. We provide multiple services. Financial education, mental health is one of the components of the settlement services. So we have 3 locations, but most of the services are offered online. I know you have assigned me to talk about the employment program, which is very critical at this moment. Our employment program started 23, 24 years ago. We had funding from federal government, we have funding from the provincial government, we work with the corporates, we work with the United Way, we work with the cities, we work with the multiple, I would say, stakeholders. Some of the programs are related to enhancing the soft skills for the newcomers, but some of them are, we provide the technical skill as well, such as accounting, office administration, we also offer other type of technical trainings like childcare. To be a childcare, professional. We have training program for the warehouse logistic professionals. We also offer the training program to be a licensed security guard professionals. In terms of the soft skills, we offer employment skill training program, which is geared towards the mostly permanent resident, but we do have other segment as well that I'm going to talk in a while. Those programs are, particularly for the new immigrants, who are yet to get the Canadian citizenship. We teach on how to obtain employment here in Canada. We also teach some sort of computer skills. Considering the pandemic situation and many people are laid off, we do have a special program called Return to Workforce in Alberta. That's especially designed for the people who are even currently receiving EI or who received EI in the last 5 years. The format goes like we offer in class, workplace preparation training that is followed by the practicum. So we work with the employers, the employers provide practicing opportunity to them, and should the clients need any sort of technical trainings, we can reimburse the cost up to $2,500 towards the course that they attend. And when they're attending the training programs, and if they need some sort of like childcare assistance, we are happy to cover the parents portion of the childcare. And then the other program we do have, we call is self-employment program, or entrepreneurship development training, which is people on how to start a business. Considering that employment is very, very tough at the moment, so we teach people how to start a business, help them to prepare the business plan, coordinate with the financial institutions. So those training programs are in a different timings. So mostly now it's online, but it's a full-time, it's a part-time, the weekend format as well. Clients can pick, what program they want to enroll into and when is a good time for them to. In terms of the settlement programming, one of them is, like Kulvinder talk, and my colleagues will talk in detail about the mental health and mindfulness programming. But we do have financial literacy counseling as well. We offer financial literacy education. We offer one-on-one financial literacy counseling. We have a free tax clinic services available throughout the year. We do provide. Even in this situation, we have volunteers helping them to file a tax return. We are working to develop a financial literacy resource book, which will comprise all the financial related information here in Calgary in general. and particularly within the immigrant serving industries. Financial literacy, my mental health program. This mental health and mindfulness program at TI just started before the pandemic started. We started back in September, but at that time, we are limiting only with the practitioners of the immigrant serving agencies, meaning that the frontline worker who need the service most, because they are dealing with with the clients who has a lot of stresses. Then after with the success, we were empowered and encouraged to do more. So
Okay.
pandemic happened all of a sudden. So we quickly reached out to the government, both local government and the provincial government. Hey, we have expertise, we have knowledge and skills, to do that. So we'd love to provide, psychoeducation workshop. We are ready to provide the resource information to the client, and we can also provide, mental health counseling
Mhm.
in order to address the issues that clients are facing at the moment. So at the moment, we are working with city, with the provincial government, and we have a team members who are expert in their field, licensed team members who are expert in this field, provide very confidential counseling to the individuals, to the group and the family as well. Additionally, we're doing the mindfulness workshops we used to do every week. Now, I think we're going to change the format a little bit, but the program is still here.
Right.
And then we are coming up with, special mobile application that will be compatible to Apple and about other devices as well. That won't happen until June 2021, but that's coming. TIES is to set up a mindfulness center at our location, and everyone who are stressed, who who need some sort of a mental relaxation can come and do the mindfulness on their own in our facilities. We are also developing self-assessment tools. About your mental level or the mental health, mental health, we are going to develop that tool. So there are multiple programs that we offer. We also offer the settlement counseling. We also offer the referral services. So and then the one important thing I always tell people that the policy of the TIES is not to say no to anyone, even if we don't have the services in-house. We make sure that the client is connected to the right services, and clients will avail the services and with other providers. That's the key aspect of that one. And Kulvinder mentioned that we have the East Zone, because of the COVID situation spreading here in Northeast location. We're working collaboratively with government and non-government agencies to address those issues.
Thank you very much, Suman, for sharing that with our audiences. Greatly appreciated. I'm sure the viewers have found already quite a bit of benefit in all the programs that you've listed. So obviously, TIES is not a one-stop shop. There is help for a variety of needs, and especially in this year, when people got new immigration and immigrants that came to Canada this year were particularly affected. So if you haven't already availed some of the services that TIES has to offer, or if you don't know about some of the services that are available to you, we will encourage our viewers to maybe spread the word or tell their friends and family, or tell the people that they've recently met to definitely explore these options. So thank you very much once again, Suman, for sharing that with us. Moving on, I will like to introduce our viewers to the incredible team of mental health counselors that we have with us here this evening. So starting off from the top of the screen, we have Katie Bradley. Then we have Hannah Javrajina. We have John Wang. And we also have another outreach coordinator from TIES, Ina Piskunova. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm going to just open up this session for some of our community members to ask their questions, and maybe one of you can shed some light, or all of you can put your inputs in here. For our community members, I'm going to quickly introduce them from the top row there. We've got Anand Murthy. Then in the center, we have Piyush Rawat. And we also have Tarang Chandra. So Anand, would you mind starting this Q&A for our counselors that we have with us tonight?
Sure, thanks. Good evening and season greetings to all of you. Merry Christmas. And my name is Anand. I'm a qualified accountant working in the oil and gas industry, just to give a quick background. It is one of those interesting times. COVID-19 has taught us how to be challenged with a pandemic, which we have never heard before. So definitely it's a challenging times for us. Meeting some of you, thanks to Kulvinder and Suman for some great presentation. These are excellent resources that our community and all the people who would need to look forward for some help and assistance would definitely be benefited. They are. So thanks very much to both of you for it, and all your co-workers also who was introduced. I have a question for Kulvinder, actually. One of the questions you did ask, you did mention, was that if someone tests positive, they can reach out to your number, the contact number, the 1833-217 number. What kind of questions can the person ask besides calling up the help link, which he has got? And second thing is, how do we ensure that person gets the information which would not be in conflict with what this Alberta Health Services is going to provide him? So 2 things, if you could share some light on it, that will be great. Thank you.
Welcome. For this COVID response team, so we have cultural brokers. So this number goes to cultural broker when you call this number. So when somebody calls this number, basically we get information from Alberta Health. It's not the person is also putting information. Information even comes from Alberta Health that these persons have been tested positive and these people need help. And when somebody call on this number, so we have counselors with 20 languages. So they ask questions about how do you feel today? What are your basic needs? Do you need food? Do you need shelter? Do you need isolation? Do you have isolation plan at home? If not, then those persons are referred to some hotels. So there are some hotels specifically designated for people who don't have any plan to stay in isolation. So then cultural based food is also provided. Center for Newcomer is doing this part of the job. The Center for Newcomer is providing whatever food requirement, whatever dietary requirements, what are culturally required, and also what kind of food you need and what like other needs, like somebody has baby formula and diapers, whatever the person needs basically in home, those things are provided. And how does it work? Person calls on this number and all those cultural brokers, they ask many questions. Basically, they want to know the person is tested positive or even affected, or the family member is.
Maybe John and Hannah can participate. Before moving on to our other community members, maybe can you shed some light as to what are some of the questions that you're getting or have been getting in the past few months? What have been some of the more common ones? Perhaps it'll be relatable to some of our viewers watching this. So should we start with you, John?
Sure. Thank you for the introduction. I would like to start by saying that, we have gotten a lot of quite unique questions lately, although some of the questions that we have received from our clients have been somewhat similar to the ones that we've been getting in the past few years. So some of the ones that are quite unique would include, because of this COVID pandemic, I'm suddenly feeling very lonely. Is this normal? Am I, do I have some type of mental disorder because I've never felt this way before? And what are some ways for me to deal with it on my own? And what are some suggestions that professional counselors or helping professionals can provide to us? So I would say that's one of the more unique pandemic related ones that I have received. And then some of the more general ones that I've been receiving that are that's quite common would be I'm feeling a bit down lately. I'm not feeling as joyful. I'm not feeling as happy or fulfilled lately. What is going on with my head? What is going on in my mind? And what can you do to help me? So I would say those are the two most common questions that I've received. Oh, host your
Sorry.
microphone.
Yes. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, John. Hannah, could you shed some more light on maybe have you received anything different, or what are some of the ones that perhaps stood out for you?
Sure. So I would say that during this unique time, all the issues that people experienced before got exacerbated. So if people, before the pandemic started, if they experienced some tension in the relationship, then for sure it got worse. I would say that a lot of people say that their addiction or their addictive behaviors got worse. So people are using substances or some unhealthy behaviors to cope really with whatever is coming, right? And this situation presents a lot of challenges, right? People feel scared, people feel lonely, as John said, people feel bored, right? People, a lot of concerns with related to loss of their jobs or job insecurity, right? And it creates, on one hand, it creates financial pressure and all those concerns about the future. On the other hand, it creates a lot of spare time, which people don't know what to do with. So, and it all creates a lot of mental health issues for people, for sure. So, and unfortunately, one of the ways of dealing with that is, as I said, addiction. So that got worse for many people.
Right.
Yeah. So then of course, the symptoms of depression or anxiety. Also, like a lot of people talk about those.
So they just kind of escalated because of the situation. Okay, thank you very much for that, Hannah. Let's move on to one of our community members. So Piyush, how about you ask the question to Katie, perhaps? What are some of your thoughts about mental health problems that, maybe you as a community member have seen people facing, or what are some of the questions that have come up?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Piyush Rawat and I am master's from UFC and right now I'm an electrical engineer. I have some generic questions to ask about. Like,
Sure.
it's kind of personal. Like, I've seen some of my friends who recovered from COVID physically, but psychologically, I feel they're still in trauma. And I don't know how much time they need to recover. So I just want to know from counselor, maybe from Katie, any coping strategies they can use or any suggestions you can give them, plus any suggestion for us, how can we help them to recover fast?
That's a really great question. And honestly, sometimes I think people come to counseling just to seek help for their friends and family. So it's a very relevant issue. Realistically, we don't know what the recovery time mentally is for people with COVID. We're still researching that. We're still observing it. In terms of basic skills, grounding or mindfulness is a really good skill to help with depression or anxiety or overwhelming emotions. It can help with people who are helping those who have been ill and as well as for those who have been ill. I do know that we have a basic grounding strategy listed on our website if people want to look it up. It's called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique, and it just uses your 5 senses to try and bring those negative emotions down and back into a degree of control. As for the caregivers who are dealing with people who are recovering from illness and who are still struggling, you can only offer as much help as those people want. Mental Health Research Canada came out with a study just at the beginning of the month that found that half as many people are getting mental health support as they were at this time last year, and twice as many people are reporting needing it. So that means 3 out of 4 people in Canada are not getting the mental health support that they need, some because of means, some because they're just not ready to ask for that help. And you can recommend free services if finances are an issue, such as our Healthy Minds program. But if people aren't ready to get help, there's not a whole lot people can do. And that's a really difficult reality to deal with.
Yeah, that's correct. I have one more question to ask. Like even before pandemic, there are a lot of mental issues people going through. Like some people have OCD, some have ADHD, some are going through trauma. And with this pandemic, they get into real trouble. Plus, there's one more thing that because of this restriction, it's hard for them to socially meet to someone, which is a key factor for their recovery. So again, same question, like how can they cope up with this new changes?
Do you want me to answer it again?
Yeah, like especially for the people who are going through extremism, not just depression, but from some severe issues. Because see, they can't meet anyone in person. So how can they seek help? Because it's a key factor.
Yeah, I mean, we do the counseling that we do online. So we actually use our practice platform, Owl Practice, to do video sessions. I really recommend people connect with people in any way that they can. Sending something as simple as a handwritten letter allows people to connect in a way. It seems old school, but how many of you have smiled getting a holiday card in the mail in the past month?
Right.
Yeah, everybody, right? Everybody's nodding. So encouraging people to kind of go back to, 1900, write a letter, send a card, make a phone call instead of a text, or a video chat instead of a phone call. Whatever means of connection you can do, get as close as possible. And when people are really in trouble, it's really important that they be honest with those that are close to them. If they're struggling, invite your family members to be honest with you. Say like, I kind of feel like you're struggling. Are you? Or are you just trying to put a good face on it? Yeah. And be there and be ready for their answer.
That's excellent input, Katie, because one of the key things with mental health challenges is that, because it's a non-tangible situation, people fail to acknowledge the severity of it. And, especially with this pandemic, people have become a lot more secluded. And like Piyush rightly pointed out, with the lockdowns, the restrictions, people are not able to kind of go and vent and do things that they would normally do. So doing unconventional things like writing a letter, meditative coloring, there's like a ton of books that you can buy, doing stuff that is not normal in your daily life. Like, there's also a thing called digital fatigue. I know I have faced that. Like I've been on way too many Zoom meetings. I'm looking at my screen for 10, 12 hours a day, and it absolutely exhausts me. So it's almost like, okay, now I don't want to go on a screen and call talk to another person, or I don't want to constantly text, or even if I'm going on social media apps, they're almost taking me into this vicious circle where I'm looking at everybody's happy lives, but I'm feeling like, oh, well, they're with their family or they're with their friends and things are so happy for them, but that might not be the case. So I think the key thing here is to break that digital fatigue and try to do things that are old school, because they do bring a whole other level of, enjoyment or joy or whatever. We'll take one more question here. Anand, I'll get back to you. Let me just quickly address Tarang's question, and then we can come back to you before the end of the segment. Tarang, would you have a question that you'd like to ask our counselors?
Yes, I heard. I am a full-time mom and a full-time professional. So my question always obviously will consider a child. When the pandemic began, we were informed that daycares are closing and the schools are closing. So it hit me personally a lot. My question is, how can we get a help from this for that? Because initially Kulvinder did mention that the childcare is also available. So there must be many family members who don't have family here. How to take care of the child?
So would Kulvinder or Ina or someone, would you like to shed some light on that, about the facilities available for parents with kids, or that they can seek out with for choice?
It's a difficult question in a sense that, we are not a childcare provider. TIES is not a childcare provider. The second point I want to highlight that, we're not a government agency. However, if we have clients coming to our program who needs the childcare, like I mentioned earlier in my, presentation as well. If they are enrolled into the program, I mean, we can look after, I mean, we can help them to apply for the, childcare subsidy. On top of that, we will be covering the parent portion of childcare. But there are, I mean, in terms of the childcare, of course, the childcare services are, open these days, considering that it's, is essential services. So, I mean, should there need for them to apply for the childcare subsidy, we definitely will step in and help those people to apply for that one. So the clients are connected to our programs in which we provide the childcare assistance, we would be able to address that issue. And then like I mentioned earlier, our policy is not to say no anyone. So should they need any sort of help accommodating the childcare and we don't have those, we can connect them with the providers. So that's what we pretty much we can do. I mean, I just want to clarify one of the things. What, earlier we talked about the 1833 number and our mental health service. I want you to be clear that 833 and the TIS mental health programs are entirely different, different programs. Once we get the referral from 833, then our mental health counselor can be connected with them and provide the service. It's not that our mental health counselor will receive the phone call and then answer them. That's not. But once the referral are coming to us, then we would address those issues by calling those clients.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if
Thank
possible,
you so much for clarifying that.
And if possible, I would like to add to what Suman said, that like our task as coordinators is not just like accept a call and give straight number, but to figure out every individual situation and to help the customers to give orientation, because pretty often they just feel lonely, stressed, and overwhelmed with a whole bunch of information related to COVID-19. And we work to help them to find the right path in this information and to refer to the right service.
Right.
So that's our task. And I would like to say that as a coordinator, I received many calls from senior citizens too. And it's my big concern because young people have more opportunities to get information using internet and bunch of other sources, but for seniors sometimes it's a big problem because they have even if they have internet, they don't know how to deal with
how to use it.
Yeah. How to use it, and most of the cases they have only phone numbers. And I'm happy that our counselors are so flexible. They can call our customers sometimes using not only internet connection, but also phone connection, and to help them that way also. So even related to family situation, when a mother or father like staying at home with kids and they feel stressed and overwhelmed, it's just like as Suman said, the right way is just to listen and to figure out every individual story needs individual approach. And it doesn't mean that we instantly give a reply. We can contact like after that call or like email or whatever it was, we can contact our customers twice or even 3 times just to make sure we can help to solve this question. Like
that's excellent.
I would like,
yeah,
I would like to emphasize that every individual question needs individual approach.
You bet.
And individual
and that's
help.
really good to hear, because mental health is such and with the pandemic, every single individual will have their particular needs, and like you rightly pointed, there's different demographics. So there's the senior citizens, there's the babies, there's the adults, there's the teenagers. It's often, if they're too young, it's often overlooked that, oh, they'll be able to manage because they're resilient, they're young. And if they're old, oh, well, they don't really need anything, they're fine, they're just sitting there. But it's so important that in every community, every single age group is addressed accordingly. So thank you very much for bringing that point, Ina. Just in the interest of time, I think I'm going to take one last question from Anand there, and then we'll move on to some closing comments.
All right. Thanks very much. Actually, that's a very good point that Piyush and Tarang brought about, saying that the biggest challenge we did have during COVID was this loss, is the social isolation that we are all facing, loss of personal contact. Some have done better than others in terms of recouping. The Gen Z, I would say, the younger generations, thanks to their social media, they are much active and kind of doing, others are not so much. One of the things I saw this, and this is a question generally, is a retail therapy issue. What it means was people go online shopping, and all they need to do is pick and select and buy. And so we saw that the first round of social isolation, before we had the first round of lockdown back in January, people were hoarding up toilet rolls, kitchen rolls for no obvious reason. They just was a panic out there, right? They suddenly did it. I like to point out one issue out there was they thought this is going to be the end of the world. We're not going to find things. We're going to stay at home for 12 months and we're going to keep it there. Only to realize 3 months later, the lockdowns were relaxed and people were like, said, okay, fine. What are they going to do? They said, we want to go return all these things back to the stores, just like normal times. What did the retail said? No, we're not going to accept it. One, because it stayed at home. Two, because of COVID rules, we cannot take it back. They suddenly felt they lost a power, right? So what happened next? In the summer, when they started, things became normal. This is where I do not know if this is supposed to be right classification, but they bought things which again they didn't need, only this time to return it. And when they got accepted, they said, oh, things are normal. Now, with the second round of lockdown, people have gone into the same quandary. And to act to the point, today was Boxing Day. Usually Boxing Days, all the retail outlets are jam-packed. Today I was out, there were not a soul. It was like absolutely empty. It looks like people have learned their lessons from the first lockdown, and in second lockdown, they do not want to make the same purchase of buying things. I do not know if Suman and Kulvinder would like to say something about this being diagnosed, or do you think that this is a usual reaction to something which people would have experienced first?
Yes, I would love to answer your question, Anand, but I'm not a psychologist. I better ask one of my psychologists to answer this question, maybe John, Hannah, or Kitty. Sorry for that.
No problem.
Sure, I don't mind taking on this question. I think that's a very interesting phenomenon that you had observed and pointed out here. And what I would like to say is that this is an unusual behavior, or rather, it's an unusual behavior in an unusual time, right? This is not something that that I would pathologize, nor would I ever think of diagnosing, because we, as humans, we learn from our experience. We learn from our mistakes, and we also learn from our successes. Right. So when we are presented with a novel situation, we get into a mentality where we see others doing something and we immediately jump into the assumption that they must be doing things for a good reason. Right. So if they see their neighbor, or if they see the next sales aisle jam-packed of customers who are trying to buy these necessities, like as you had mentioned, toilet paper, like food products, canned meat, they're suddenly thinking, well, if I'm not going to be doing the same thing, then I'm going to be at a loss when others have the necessities that they need, 5 months down the road in a time of uncertainty, and I'm not going to be the one, I'm going to be the one without these necessities. Right. And let's be fair, 5 months ago or 10 months ago, we were in a very unfamiliar territory where we don't know what's going to happen, the next day or the next week, because the government is also trying to figure out what the restrictions are going to look like and what is the regular flow of work and personal life as the situation progresses. And that is still very much so a fluid situation nowadays, right? So that being said, we all have different ways of coping with unusual times. And as Hannah had mentioned earlier in our session today, some people cope by using substances, but that's not to say everyone would choose to use such coping strategies. And so we deal with stressful environments also in different ways, right? Some of us, as you had mentioned, would hoard necessities. And while some others would rationalize, government's actions as saying, okay, the government will make sure that we have food on the table, 6 months into the pandemic, so there's no need for us to panic. But that's not to say that everyone will have the same type of stress response, and not everyone has the same level of resiliency when it comes to dealing with stress. So at the end of the day, I would point it to, I would say, because everyone have different ways of coping with stress, and everyone have different levels of tolerance to uncertainty, and everyone have different levels of resiliency. And that's why we see, different types of behaviors when it comes to, hoarding, buying necessities when there's really no need for it. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you very much for that, John. And thank you to all our guests and all our panelists this evening. Really appreciate all your inputs, as well as our community members who took the time to join us. I do want to close this session by communicating to our audiences that TIES is here with any kind of help that you need. Of course, regarding mental health, but this is also an organization that helps newcomers to Canada settle in with employment, language barriers, any kind of educational programs or skill training programs. So please do take advantage of the services that they have to offer. But also noticing, like, certain communities, we do understand that mental health is still a very taboo topic. There is stigma around it, but this year has been an exceptional one. So let's try and break those long-standing perceptions, because we're all human at the end of the day. And like, some of our counselors rightly pointed that we all have different ways of coping. And now that we are partnered with this organization that has the tools to help us cope, let's take advantage of that, and let's aim to live a healthier, less challenging and a healthier lifestyle in the new year. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you so very much to all our guests for their inputs, and we'll have all the information once again to connect with TIES at the end of this video. We hope you have a wonderful holiday season with your families and your friends. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
You're welcome, Ananya.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Everyone have a wonderful weekend too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.